quorum present, and we'll do a roll call vote. Lee?
Here.
Phil?
Here.
Bill?
Present.
Rick?
Always one of those.
Hi, Alan.
Aye. And Leslie?
Here.
Anyone else?
Nat Lowell.
I'm here,
Nat Lowell
Alan.
seems
Oh,
to be
Nat.
there. Hello, Nat.
Thanks, everyone.
Let me.
You haven't forgotten me.
No, it's it was on the speaker view, not the gallery.
Yeah,
view.
I was in a little late. So.
Okay, so I declare we do have a quorum present for the meeting today. There are 3 people who are up for reappointment to the committee. Snooky, Leslie, and Ed Gillum are all 3. The terms expire in 2021. Phil, do you remember what year your term expires?
I think I'm good for 3 years.
Okay, well, that's what I was thinking too. So that would be 20.
In other words, I'm not filling some unexpired term. I just go for, I think it's just 3 years.
Yeah. Okay.
I think the thing that Bill sent the other day was accurate, Alan. Bill sent something, like the list from the town.
Yeah, I got that off of the town website.
Oh, right.
pretty-
Right. Yeah. So, Leslie, have you submitted your application?
I have not. I'm pondering, and I'll give you a call.
Okay, great, good. And Ed isn't here with us yet, so.
So you have to,
Alan, if I may
Yes, Lee?
make a comment, both to you and particularly to Leslie. It's your call, obviously. If you choose not to renew, let Alan know, and maybe we can recruit an applicant before the deadline.
Well, I think the deadline's passed.
no, it's not.
Oh,
No, I
not,
think
I'm
it's-
sorry, that's for the
The
elected.
deadline for committee, I think is
Yeah.
in a few days.
That's right,
Right. Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, Yeah.
I think it's this Friday.
all right, thank you. Yeah, I was thinking of the elected positions, which closed a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Now,
if I may make another comment, and we are recording.
yes,
Bill Smith asked earlier about the process of reviewing and accepting. The Nantucket Civic League is in an endeavor to try and get more people to think about volunteering and participating, and as a consequence, learning more about how town government works, and quite possibly increasing the diversity of committee membership. One of the realities is that new applicants, if they're not known to the select board, have in the past had a problem being recognized. Maybe the new process will open things up, but let's just say I'm hopeful that we'll have a more diverse process.
right. In my experience, as far as the committee process goes, I think we've been fortunate, certainly on Roads and Right-of-Way Committee, to get people who are interested, who have an interest in the work that we do, and so on. So anyway, well, let's hope the work that the town is putting into revamping their procedures will yield more interest. One of the things, it's easy to see why people don't want to volunteer for a committee, because it is fairly time consuming and, that sort of thing. So let's hope that the Civic League's program to involve the town yields a result. So,
Okay, Alan, a piece of bureaucracy. I've just admitted Snooky. And somebody's on the phone. May I ask who it is?
great. Oh,
Alan,
yeah. Phil?
so just to clarify, if someone on this committee is up for renewal, they have to submit a new application, is that correct?
Correct.
So
They mail it to you.
If Leslie, let's say, forgets to do it, she's out of, she's off the committee. I guess that's it, huh?
Well,
Yes.
it depends. Yeah, the new process is that they, after the deadline, they're not supposedly taking applications for it, as I understand it. Snooky.
We learned that in a dramatic fashion recently.
Yes. Yeah, we did. So anyway, the select board is working on their process of getting people to volunteer. It's amazing how many volunteers there are. The Civic League did a recognition for volunteers. God, it was 6-8 years ago. Anyway, some time ago. And we found that there were over 300 committee and volunteers on different committees, boards, and commissions. 300 and I think it was 343. I forget the exact number, but it was some. I was stunned at how many different volunteers there are on these committees. And of course,
Alan, once again, I'm going to interrupt. I think I've got the phone person admitted to the meeting. Would she or he tell us who we are?
no, I guess not.
Maybe
it's an eavesdropper. Well, we'll see.
Well, it could be a member of the public.
Rick.
Well, I just think, Lisa, I thought there was a clear understanding that anybody coming in has to identify themselves. Is that the idea, Lee?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, just so we're clear.
Right.
Well, they've just disappeared off my participant screen.
Oh, really? Uh-oh. Well, as I guess.
That's
right.
it. We've got Snooky. Snooky, would you say hello?
Just vanished.
He just
With which
disappeared.
he disappeared. Come back.
He's cutting his grass.
Maybe
No, now he's gone.
Snooky snuck out.
Yeah.
He snooked out.
Okay. Let me
Alan, go back to your meeting.
Yeah, let me get the meeting underway here. So let's see. We did the attendance, public comment. Apparently there is none.
Well, I've got you down for chair's comment for expirations.
Oh, great. Thank you. And approval of minutes. The next item, we have minutes from Tuesday, April 20th. Those were submitted last month. I would entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll move with the clarification of Lee's correction that he made for us on our behalf.
Great.
Second, and I'll explain after the second.
Right. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thanks. Yes, in answer, Bill, or I'm sorry, Lee, why don't you go ahead and explain what you've done?
Okay, after I sent out the draft, I got a response from Rick Atherton who said, "Oh, Lee, one of my comments was said in jest. It's not really significant to the meeting. Could you remove it?" It was the comment that said, "Oh, well, let's just throw our hands up in the air and forget the whole thing." And so that particular sentence is gone, and I've deemed that to be an editorial change that doesn't require a vote on an amendment. And if people accept that, they'll vote aye on the main motion.
Right. Okay, any further discussion on the minutes?
Did you make the change to Max Brown's name on number 5?
Max Brown, he was, yeah, it was,
He's listed correctly on page 1, but in section 5, old, new, and other business, his name has been changed to Max Brand.
Yeah, well, that was probably my hearing problem. I will double check that it's correct both on the attendance list. I know I've changed it in 5.
oh, okay.
Again, an editorial change.
Right.
Thank you, Leslie.
Okay, with those editorial changes then, we have a motion and a second. Are there any further corrections? Seeing none. Vote, roll call. That's
Yes,
what we,
exactly.
roll call, sorry. Lee,
Aye.
Phil,
Aye.
Leslie,
Aye.
Rick,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
and Ed. Ed,
Ed's
Aye.
the sneaky
I
phone
don't
guy.
think Ed's on the call.
Phone guy.
oh, okay, and Snooky, can you hear us? Snooky, are you, let's see, Ed, I've got you on mute. And Snooky,
I'm back.
oh, okay, great,
Oh, there we go.
Yep.
excellent. Okay, I think we've got everybody. And let me see, got my screen here. Okay, the next item of business, sidewalk projects. Broad Street, Easy Street, and a little update on Main Street. If you've been down on Broad Street, you've seen the work that they've done on both sides of the street, on the Young's Bike Shop side and on the opposite side. They've widened the sidewalk by, I'm guessing, about a foot on each side.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, once again, bureaucracy, whoever's on the telephone, you are muted. And we need for you to unmute and identify yourself.
Ed Gillum, I
It's
believe.
Ed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
but he's got-
surprised. I'm surprised
gotta
he
put-
hasn't.
He's got to replace on his login instead of phone, it's got to have his name, unfortunately.
But anyway, it's Ed Gillum,
Yeah, okay.
uh,
and he's gone away for now.
Okay, did we complete the roll call?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, so those minutes are approved then. Sidewalk projects. As you know, the town has been busily working away on Broad Street, both sides of Broad Street, and on Easy Street by the Land Bank Park down there. They're putting in the curbing now in that sidewalk. All those, the sidewalks on Broad Street, both sides, from the Whaling Museum down to the top of Steamboat Wharf. Both sides are nicely repaired. They're very smooth. They're widened. So anyway, that shoot, I had a whole wrap for that. So anyway, the town has been busily working away on those sidewalks. I did speak with Rob McNeil about the sidewalks. He's pleased with the way that the work is proceeding. The sidewalk on Easy Street by the Land Bank Park there is going to be similar. They've widened that sidewalk by at least a foot or so, and that's in good shape. You'll also notice at the foot of Main Street on the the south side of Main Street, from Union Street up in front of the Masonic Hall, that sidewalk has been partially redone as well. they had, when the Masons redid those, divided that building into 3 different outlets there, they had to provide access, so you handicapped access, so you could get in without having to step over a threshold. And they also leveled part of the sidewalk in front of that as well. I did speak with Rob McNeil. He said that the funding is there to complete more of the downtown sidewalks. As I think we reported last month, they're going to be working on the other downtown sidewalks as funds and time permit. They do have the money. They did set aside $1 million for the work that is, currently underway. So that project seems to be going along quite well. They have been getting some pushback from the preservation group in terms of the materials and so on. But be that as it may, it makes it much easier. I walked yesterday from Straight Wharf down at the High Line, from the wharf itself, up the street, up Straight Wharf, across Easy Street and up Broad Street. I did the whole loop around there, and I was very impressed. I'm very impressed with the quality of the work that's been done so far. So that's what I have as an update for the downtown sidewalks. I would also add that the missing sidewalks, you recall a couple of months ago, we submitted a request to the select board for the missing pieces of sidewalk. And I spoke most recently with the property owner on Pleasant Street, where there's that gap that's missing between Williams Lane and Gardner Perry Lane.
Oh, yeah.
I think, in fact, I know Rob met with the owners also, and they're working on a plan for that particular section. The property owners are concerned about the maple trees that are, immediately adjacent to the road. So I think they're looking to see what other options there are. Fortunately, the property owners are receptive to having a sidewalk there and addressing that issue. Nothing to report on the other 3 areas, that the missing sidewalk on Cliff Road and the Prospect Street connection, although we'll talk about that in just a few minutes with Wynn Street. I do have some information on Wynn Street.
Alan, I think the work up on Prospect Street is much more straightforward than on Pleasant Street. I mean, Pleasant Street, whether you're going to almost like have to build a bridge or something with all the trees there, but clearly I would say that the missing sidewalks on Prospect Street are pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've reviewed all of those. I refer to them as the gaps in the sidewalks with Rob McNeil at the DPW. He's aware of them all. That we did contact the select board. They are aware of them as well. And according to Rob, they're in the planning process, let's put it that way, to be addressed. My sense is that the easiest one to deal with is probably the Cliff Road piece. There's only one very tight spot there. The rest of it, there's plenty of room in the roadway for sidewalk. Pleasant Street, as I just said, there's an issue with the trees, but DPW is working with the property owners to see what can be done there. Prospect Street is, again, everybody's aware of that. And we're still pursuing going up Mill Hill and down by the new subdivision that's up there on Mill Hill out to Joy Street and getting over around that way.
So, Alan, I'll just make a little contribution since I live around the corner from Pleasant Street.
Yes,
Those poor maple trees look like they're on their last legs,
yes.
but that's because they're storm damaged. Actually, now that it's spring, they are leafing out like young teenagers. So I think we're gonna, I think if the property owner comes up with a compromise with the town, we're gonna have them for quite a while.
I suspect so. I suspect we are. So, okay, is there anything else on sidewalks? So just as a reflection, I think that we're making good progress. You remember when we started the downtown sidewalk project, we went up and down to the condition of all the sidewalks and so on. I'm still amazed every time I walk around in town that, the condition of the sidewalks down there. Okay.
Alan,
Yes, Bill?
did Rob share the plans from in front of Congdon and Coleman and Brock's, where they have taken that tree down? I know they got beat up pretty much in the public by taking that three-cornered bench down and whatever, but are they gonna fix that area up or grind that trunk out, or did he say?
No, I didn't mention it and he didn't mention it either.
It's right by the crosswalk in front of Congdon and Coleman.
I'm just trying
Right
to,
out from their door.
Bill, are you talking Main Street or Center Street?
Yes.
Main Street,
Okay.
yeah.
corner of Main and Center, right at Congdon and Coleman's door. There's a jagunda tree that's older than Rick. And it was substantially in girth, and it's been taken down, and I just didn't know. You know, if
Oh,
they had
really? No,
plans.
I'm not aware of that at all. I'm picturing a pear tree or some flowering tree down there. Well, anyway, I'll inquire and see what this.
And before I write this up, I'll look at it. Bill, Mimi Congdon was our realtor for ages and ages and ages when we rented this house out to others. And more often than not, in the warm weather, she'd be on the bench around that tree saying, "Oh, this is my office."
Yeah,
Okay, next item, chapter 91 and our projects list. Chapter 91. I did speak with Rob about, I'm sorry, wait a minute, that's Wind Street. I spoke with Dawn. I explained the situation as far as the chapter 91. You saw her request was that I send a memo or an email to Jeff Carlson copying her, Dawn, on the email, which I did, and I circulated a copy to the members this morning. And so anyway, Dawn said that given that, she would then follow up with Jeff to see what the story was. I did try as concisely as possible in that email to identify what our concerns were and make it clear that our committee is interested in the public aspect, in the public access aspect of having these chapter 91 licenses. So we'll see where that goes. Dawn was supportive when I explained to her what we had been doing, what our intention was, and all that sort of thing. So we'll see. It sounded as though she was supportive of what we're doing. Yes, Rick?
Just one thing, if it's opportune, Alan,
Yes.
we volunteered to supply the labor. You know, we weren't asking Jeff to do much except to say, here, take a look at the file and run with it. So, you know, if they come back and say, oh, there's so much work, let's just remember that.
Yes, I will. I did, when I was talking with Dawn, I did mention that Lee and Leslie had been in a couple of years ago and, you know, had talked with Jeff and so on. I mentioned that I had been trying to get in touch with him for some time. And basically, we haven't gotten the response that we had gotten basically no response. So we'll see. We'll see. This will probably this should at least generate a response. So I'm yes.
Rick, be careful what you ask me or volunteer me to do, because he does have several thick loose leaf notebooks. And if we're talking about scanning all of that into an accessible file, that may take a lot of time. We're much better off asking somebody like CPC to fund that with a knowledgeable person, with somebody capable of doing it.
Well, yeah, I would say that we need to have a conversation with Jeff to explain what it is, what our goals are. In the email that I sent him, as I say, I tried to have it, pretty concise, and this is what our goal is. This is why we're, why we've undertaken this project, and it seems to me that if we could just have a conversation with Jeff about what it is we're trying to do and how our goal is really to help the town in terms of the whole, issue of public access. Yes, Bill?
So Alan, I know somebody else wants to talk, and I'll be very brief. We need to find out from Jeff how much information he's willing to post on the town's website versus how much information we might digitize, but keep our hands on it to avoid such things as scamming, advertising, consultants checking the list and offering up services. There may be a bunch of reasons why we don't want it too open, but I think we do need it digitized. Okay, I apologize. I may have cut into somebody.
Okay, Bill?
Well, I think the first answer that would be most helpful is there in fact a database that has a list of all the Chapter 91 permits on island, number one? I just hope that the answer is not. They are filed with each property, and the only way to find out is to research each property, and you have to go back through Concom agendas or whatever. If that's the case, then the town certainly has not done its due diligence.
Bill, the answer is yes and no. There are two thick loose leaf notebooks that Leslie and I saw, as Alan said, probably more than 2 years ago. And those notebooks represent the licenses that have been processed in recent times. In other words, the state notifies the Conservation Commission that a Chapter 91 license is required, and the homeowner then applies through the state to get the license. I believe that the modern ones, copies are given to our Natural Resources Department. The older ones, we don't know. And I think that's the open question. Yes, they are required to be filed with deeds. If one goes to the registry of deeds, there is a button to touch for licenses, and you can do it year by year. And Leslie and I have done that over several recent years to go through all of time. Once again, there might be a better way of doing it.
Yeah, Rick?
Yeah, Bill asked if there is a list, and there is a list put together by the Harbor Work Group maybe 6 years ago or 7. And it's an Excel spreadsheet, quite detailed. I think it has like 94 licenses. So it's a good beginning. If our members aren't familiar, I'll be happy to send an Excel spreadsheet with that Excel spreadsheet around to everybody. So
I would like to see that.
Yeah.
If for no other reason, I'd like to be able to, when I'm walking around, like the one at the petrol or whatever, just say, oh yeah, there's one's supposed to be here. It'd be nice to be able to walk around and check it out.
To reinforce what Rick just told you, the harbor plan was accepted by the state, and it is on the entire plan. And we're talking about a lot of pages. The entire plan is accessible through the town's website.
Right. I recall when that the last harbor plan was done. In fact, Rosen Right of Way was involved with that as far as the.
It was called the Harbor Plan Implementation Committee, and yours truly was liaison between Roads and Right of Way and the Harbor Plan.
That's right. Boy, time passes, you know. So anyway, that's the follow up there. We'll see. We'll see if we get a response from Jeff Carlson as a result of the request that I emailed to him. So again, in my mind, it seems like a relatively simple request to find out all of the questions that we have. I would think Jeff would be able to answer in a conversation, or at least most of the concerns that we have. So
I don't want to prolong this, Alan, but keep it in mind that we talked to Jeff. If further research is needed, how can we help you get the resources to do that?
Okay. All right. I'll as I say, when the phone call comes in, or if we exchange by email and so on, I will raise that. As I say, I did try to raise the issues that our committee is concerned with, and again to emphasize that we're here to help the town as far as determining the public access part of it. So, Bill?
Just one other thing. Actually, I shared it with Rick, and as we expected, he already knew about it. But there's a move afoot. It's called the what the hell is it called? It's an article done by Lexology.com that puts into jeopardy or into question the fate of municipal harbor plans. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plan or that mandate is going to affect the downtown plan for the harbor.
Mm-hmm. It's a good point. Yeah, there's a lot of work going on, and particularly with sea level rise and all this sort of thing. There's a lot of attention being directed to the shoreline. So,
May I ask Bill to repeat the name of the group or the website?
It's actually, I'll forward it on to the group so that everybody has it. But the title of the article is Fate of Municipal Harbor Plans Thrown into Question is what the article is. And it's to do with the Superior Court decision of April 2021. And so I'll pass it out to everybody and you can take a peek.
Okay,
And at least one of the selectmen asked for a copy of it. And I sent it to Matt. I don't know if it's gotten any further than that.
okay.
It's regarding Boston, it's not Nantucket.
It's regarding,
Who owns the garage next to Harbor Towers has been trying to build.
right, but it's the point being, I guess, is that the belief is it's going to affect all future harbor.
But this particular case was not Nantucket's harbor plan yet.
But yeah,
So one quick question for Alan. Is it all right if I copy your email to Don Hill Holgate into an attachment to the minutes?
yeah,
Okay.
I yeah, I don't see any problem with that. Ed, did you have a comment or a question?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Can you hear me okay? My internet's going in and out, it seems like.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, when in sending the email to Jeff Carlson regarding Chapter 91, it got me again thinking about the items on our outstanding projects list. And it became clear, it's becoming clear that it's helpful to have objectives. What are we trying to accomplish here? And oops. So anyway, it got me to take a look at the items on our projects list. And I think for our next meeting, I might, what I'd like to do is to have a discussion among the group about each one of them and seeing, thinking about what is our goal? Why, what are we looking for? What do we want to accomplish under each of these? And so anyway, I just sort of a, not a warning, but as an update, let's say. I'd like to go through and update the list. So,
Alan, are you hoping that conversation will result in objectives? Or are you going to give us some, they used to call them straw men?
I'm hoping that given our collective brain power here, that we can get some clarification. I found that, all this conversation we've had on the Chapter 91, it wasn't really until I had to explain to Jeff in a very brief email, what our goals were, what do we want from him? One of the lessons I learned from one of my employees at the bike shop many years ago was, if you want something from someone, tell them what you want. And it
Basically,
occurred to me that that's a good philosophy in terms of what we're aiming for here with these projects. So I'll put it on the agenda with the idea that we'll use our collective energy to bandy about ideas as to why we're doing these projects and what we hope to accomplish by doing them. So maybe that'll sort of refocus on some of those issues. Okay, anything else on Chapter 91 or the outstanding projects list that I just mentioned. Okay, next item, Wind Street. Wind Street and partial Somerset Road takings update. This is really a two-part issue. I did speak with, or I emailed Rob McNeil as far as Wind Street, and he didn't have an answer as to where on the list of priorities the taking of Wind Street and the making a connection, and also the section of Somerset Road down by the cemetery there is. So anyway, I've got nothing to report other than Rob is aware that those are items that we're interested in, and as far as the part of taking it. Related to that, Phil has been working on the public-private roads, and he's been in touch with Nathan Porter over at the GIS department,
Right.
and has been making some progress there. So
What happened to Ed? He okay? Is that his internet? I hope. Jeez.
no, he said his internet is going in and out. So
I don't want to see a casualty.
Call 911.
yeah. I know. Yeah, see, I think this
Oh my
is
God.
this is what he meant when his internet was freezing up. So it froze on the picture and then it comes and goes. So anyway, Phil has been talking with Nathan Porter regarding the public-private roads piece. And Phil, do you want to fill us in on what you found out so far?
Sure. So anyhow, I was trying to find out who was the ultimate keeper of all the roads and if they're public or private. And everybody I speak to was pointing me to Nathan Porter. And so Nathan and I have been working for the past month. Essentially, he's showing me what he has, and then I have a few more questions, and then he shows me some more of what he has. But essentially, what we have, and if you go to the town website, I think some of you are familiar with this because you referred to it on previous meetings, but there is a buried in the town website is a section called GIS maps. And if you go into that, you run down that, you can click on something called Nantucket Road Ownership Worksheet. And it's essentially what it is it's a diagram of the island and shows all of the roads that are either public, private, or don't know, question mark. And you can blow it up and look at a specific area of the island. But the more you blow it up, it really starts to get difficult to make out. But anyhow, that document on the site was effective June 17th, 2008. But what Nathan tells me is every couple of years, they have a third-party contractor, right? And this is done in an airplane. I would think now we're getting to the point where this could easily be done with drones, but the most recent one was done on May 2nd, 2018. And it was not the whole island, it was a part of the island. And so there is an effort to try to, keep updating these roads. And these are physical roads. These are not what they call paper roads. These are actual roads. But in going through this process of understanding what you've got, a couple of statistics here, which I think people might find of interest. First of all, these roads are shown in either the graphic form, which you can see on the website, but it has something that they call maps. And these maps, they're probably up to 100 of these little maps. I would say each map is probably maybe a quarter of a mile, half a mile square, and it shows all the roads. This is a result of the work of the aerial photography. And of these maps, they also document this in a massive Excel spreadsheet. And in that spreadsheet, it shows 2,993 line items. And each one is either a road or a section of road. Sometimes these are broken up in sections because they cross over from one so-called map to the next map. So that
Phil, repeat that number, please.
2,993
Got it.
line items on the Excel spreadsheet. And on that spreadsheet, there is a specific object number, and then it is listed the name of the street or road or way. Then they have a column called owner, and that's either private or public, or in many cases, as I'll get into, blank. And then it has the material, dirt, asphalt, gravel, etc. And then they have the length, and it's in feet. And it's down to like the 10th decimal place for feet, which is crazy. But anyhow, that's the way it is. But of this, so we were playing around with this spreadsheet, and a couple of boiling this down in terms of what we don't know. There are 312, I would call them mystery roads or ways, 312. 91 of them do not have a name, and they don't say whether they are public or private. We just don't know.
Ghost streets, Phil.
That's 91. 88 roads do not have a name, but they're shown as either public or private. But where it says name, that's a blank spot, a blank cell on the spreadsheet. And then 133 of these roads have a name, but no identification of it's public or private. So total, it's 312, I would call them mystery roads. So that's all nice and good, and that's interesting. But the question is, and Alan and I were talking about, okay, now we have this information, where do we go from here? And if you look at the map that is on the town website that I was referring to, in addition to showing the public, private, and unknown roads, which are black lines with question marks, there are also, it's very interesting, you see dots, colored dots. And one dot is, I think, blue, are public harbor access, and red dots are public beach access. And as I understand it, this is for the police department and the fire department to get access to the beach. But in talking, I talked with Nathan this afternoon, and he can go back, what he has done so far, and he's just done a great job here. He has come up with 46 of these maps that are essentially the entire circumference of the island that has beach attached to it. And so that we could look at each one of these individual little maps and see where the roads come down and stop at the beach. And he can then overlay on top of that where these public access points are. So that's where we are. When I got off the phone with him this afternoon, he said, well, I don't think I can have the dots for you before their 4 o'clock meeting. I said, don't worry. I mean, he's done a great job. I mean, he's turned this stuff around really quickly. But he and I will talk tomorrow, and he probably will have it for me by tomorrow afternoon. But one thing that could be done with all of this information is we could go and look at each of these so-called little maps and identify the public access points for the streets and what streets those are, and are those streets we know anything about, or are they one of these mystery streets?
Bill, the first is just bureaucracy. 2,993 items. Of those, 312 have missing information. Is that
Correct.
correct?
Correct.
And of the 312, 133, we know the name of the road, but no further information about ownership.
Correct.
Okay, so it's nested. Now, I did do some research ages ago, probably when I first joined the committee, about access to the beach. That's back when Jeff Carlson was beach manager before he moved up. And he shared with me a list of beach access points. And so I'm ready to call these all public. And all of a sudden, oh no, because the Conservation Foundation and the Land Bank are private entities. And while they provide access for the public, they are not public access points, which balks me because I haven't quite understood that.
Well, this could be a piece of work that I think we can certainly do, which is when Nathan redoes these maps, when he redoes these 46 maps that do the entire circumference of the island, we will be able to identify whether that's on land bank property or not, where the little road goes down to the point.
Good.
But I guess that part of this is a little bit of garbage in, garbage out. And I'll give you an example. Nathan, up until yesterday, thought that Wind Street was all public. I said, well, Roads and Right-of-Way Committee thinks it's part public and part private.
Yeah,
So,
correct.
so it's sort of like Nathan gets what people give him.
That was my question too, that the map from 2000, what did you say it was? 2008. It's a worksheet. It was a draft sort of thing. And it has things like Franklin Street as being public.
Exactly.
So
It's not.
if you just lift, so I don't know how those streets were designated private or public. And when Lee and I were talking about this some time ago, we wondered whether you had to just go to every single deed and see what you could see. And many times the deed isn't even clear. But how do you decide? I mean, how do we know what's private and what's public?
That's a very good question. And it is, let me take it this way. More recent times, we know, for example, the Richmond development, Barnabas Lane and all of that sort of stuff. We know these are recent developments. It's the older, the further you go in history, we're really relying on what somebody told us before.
Right.
Which may or may not be correct.
Exactly.
So I think whenever we publish this or anything, we have to put a caveat in there that this is to the best of our knowledge, but has not been documented entirely by deed.
Right.
Right. Now, remember the real value of knowing whether it's a public or private road really falls to the town, because the town is the one who has to maintain any of the roads that they think are public. And as we learned with Franklin Street, and also with Steps Beach, that was another area, so there are these takings that were never completed or never
Recorded.
recorded. And if it wasn't recorded, they may as well not have gone through all the process. So there was a pretty major project that was done in 1975 when at that time, the Board of Selectmen hired someone to go and check they had a street list, and I believe she worked in the deeds, with the deeds in the registry office to determine those. And there were, I think, some 70 some streets on that list. Those were added to whatever list the town already had. And so anyway, I think what our work is, what we've been doing here is to try and fill in those gaps. And of course, our interest is the public access part of it. I mean, that's what we do, is public access. So, Nat, do you have any?
Yeah, I need to say something, because
Yeah.
I'm going crazy. I gotta leave. I'm so busy, you guys. I can't stay still. But look, Phil, this is awesome what you're doing. All I can think about is all the stuff that, since what Alan brought up, Steps Beach, that was the beginning of the, I guess, the paving the way for the yard sale program process of getting the access to one big beach, kind of using that terminology to, like on Katina Street, Alan, by Natalie Jacobson's house. I'll never forget my meeting with her and how she was so angry. And then all of a sudden she was happy once she found out that her deed was going to get cleaned up, and all it was going to be was a little path to the beach. And I think, like, the stuff that Phil's working on here, there's sort of like the old stuff that's not fixed versus the stuff that got fixed, and then what we need to look at for access versus just the ghost streets. Like, there's a ghost street by my house that it's going to get extinguished and fixed, and I just had that explained to me recently, what a ghost street is. It's actually not a paper street. It's a sort of showed up on a plan, then all of a sudden it wasn't on a plan, then it was on another plan. It's sort of like the one, wasn't there one at Lincoln Circle, Alan? That house 2 years ago, I believe, that was extinguished and fixed. It's a ghost street, I believe. Up there, I know there's one, it went right through the house.
Yeah.
Like, literally, it is just sort of a whatever, but I think if we should continue this topic with Phil's work, when a member does this much work, you can't just ignore it, because like, that's unusual to have someone that's willing to do all that. And it's reminded me of the putting the granite post in the ground with Joe and David Visco, with you, Alan, and finding a way to do it with GPS, which was really great. But get Ken in here to explain sort of that process and sort of start over again a little bit with what Nathan's done to record the stuff, or I shouldn't say record, but to put it on these maps as legally private or public, the stuff that we've already fixed, that we know is done, versus the stuff that's sort of just out there still that hasn't have anything to do with access. You know what I mean, Alan? I mean, when you got this committee fixed and restarted, when was that? 15 years ago? 12, something like that.
2000.
At that time, Brian Chadwick was involved with that stuff up there at Steps Beach. We were talking about the stuff on, Baxter Road access. We were talking about the stuff, obviously, Surfside was the biggest, but there was a couple in Monomoy that got fixed that were sort of, we thought we had access all our lives, blah, 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 but we never really had legal access.
Right.
And I think that this committee focused on the ones that were important. And then when Andrew got going with the yard sale program and got the real estate committee and all these different things took shape, it sort of put the pieces to the puzzle of all this street stuff fixed. So I just think that Ken could come in, and maybe Andrew, if he wants to kind of chime in on some of the historical stuff to how we got where we are and where we need to keep going. I think I don't know if there's any real plan right now to look for more, or what is going on with other streets that have access or could have access, Alan. You know what I'm saying? I mean, is Surfside finished? Is there still stuff that's sort of going out into nowhere, or are most of the access points legally taken and sold, and we have a path now and all that? Like, how many more are there in
Well,
Surfside?
that's partly what the work that Phil's been doing will help determine. Surfside was the real impetus for this whole program.
Yeah.
Because there were those 6. There was a lawsuit. The property owners sued the town, and back and forth. And out of that lawsuit, though, as you said,
Right.
that's
Friendly
what
takings.
that's what set the whole program for the One Big Beach and for all the other stuff that we've done.
And to Phil's efforts, I mean, one of the things about this that's happened is that the property owners became partners in this, because their benefit was worth the beach access, because they were getting their properties deeds cleaned up.
Exactly.
I mean, how would you like to have a piece of property worth $5 million with 2 roads poking through it?
Yeah.
That sit there, you know what I mean? I shouldn't say 5 million back then. Now they might be.
That's low.
Just one point. There is a few maybe a year or 2 ago in the West End, we dealt with a potential yard sale that was going to give up part of Washington Ave.
Yes.
Yep.
And so it was a town meeting article put forward by a real estate agent and a lawyer. And we successfully got that taken down. And at the time, it was stated that road, because it may in fact be an alternate access or replacement access if Tennessee Ave disappears. But since then, previously the road was, the paper part of it was, you could see it on the GIS. As of late, there's sections of that road that have now not shown up on the GIS.
Oh, really?
So, I don't know why that is, but I noticed it the other day. And it's just a disturbing thing that something that's been there, bone of contention, people in this neck of the woods thought was squared away. It was not going to be yard sales. And all of a sudden, it's disappearing off the GIS.
What end of it? Is it in the middle, Bill? It's not the part that you're talking of, that was, I know what part you're talking about before,
so
the article.
Between H and I was an effort at a town meeting a couple of years ago that was taken down.
Yeah, that was more towards North Cambridge,
No,
if I recall, wasn't
this is
it?
right. This is right when you come out of the Admiralty parking lot, which is part
Oh.
of Washington Ave.
You're talking about Dr.
Yeah,
What's his
Washington
name?
Ave.
Shrink guy. Yeah.
Washington Ave goes between, in that section, between the Admiralty and the Nantucket Fire Station.
Yeah.
Then it goes across, and that's what was slated to be land sold. It used to say Washington Ave, that's now gone away. It resurfaces again between I Street and Oakland. Then it disappears again between Oakland and not M Street, but it resurfaces by M Street again, but it disappears behind Kathy Slattery's
And,
whatever. So
and
the point
excuse
being
me,
is,
Yeah.
it
Phil?
keeps changing.
and when you're saying disappears, is this based on what you're seeing on this GIS map, the town?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, that is not the most correct one. That is 2008. Nathan confirmed for me, he has, as of today, I mean, his set of maps that's ancient history. In other words, he has a set of maps. I mean, he could push a button and come up with 120 maps, and that's today.
Well,
I don't-
something happened between 2 town meetings ago and now, because it used to say Washington Ave in that stretch.
Bill, I think there's a misunderstanding here. You're not referring to the map that is currently buried on the town website about road, public and private ownership. You are referring to the plain old GIS map that you can see of the town of Nantucket today.
Right. Correct.
And so sometimes it sounds like a ghost road that, you know, a little bit ago, Washington Ave showed the whole way, and now Washington Ave only shows chunks of it. And
Correct.
it's not the 2008 map. It's the one you can go see right now when you open up GIS.
Well, let me, I actually this last week was working with Nathan, and we decided we would start with the West End just to start with, because it wasn't quite as, you always start with the West End, right? And then you work from there. But I could send to you guys, Leslie and Bill, I can send you the little maps for the West End, and you guys can tell me if that's what you know and what you see, or whether that's fantasy.
Be happy to contribute.
I'll try to piece those together, and you guys can tell me whether that's real or not.
Okay, thank you.
But I guess the point of this, we could talk for a long time on this, but I think the point of this is there could be a piece of work where we could identify all of those points that are considered public beach access points around the island. And we can identify the street that goes down to that and decide if, I mean, one thing could be, you know, this is crazy. We divide it up and we individually go visit it and see if that's what it is. Or has somebody put a hedge over the top of it and decided that they're taking it over.
Alan, can I add something to what he's saying, or ask a question
Sure,
to you,
okay.
Alan, to you?
Yeah, Nat,
All the places that I say you because, you know, yeah, I kind of think of it that way, that we've put markers
mhm.
in the recent, whatever, since we started doing the granite ones, I guess, whatever year that started, 2011 maybe or something, 10. None of that, they're getting maintained now, either by the property owner or DPW or whatever. Like those ways are clear, correct? Like, there's nobody encroaching on the newest identified ones. I would kind of doubt is happening. I'm just saying that for Phil's sort of getting him sort of up to speed on the ones that have been done that are clear and marked with GPS, legally, you know, taken and recorded and whatever, you know,
Okay.
whether it's with a, go ahead, Lee, sorry.
No, but just to clarify, when I told you that we've done this research on public versus private, that was to identify the public ways onto which we could put monuments. Monuments are on town land.
Yeah.
So they're identified in the listing that's on our website. They're not separately recorded in the town's registry, but they are in our listing. DPW has a copy of that listing. It's town's responsibility to do weeding and weed eating around them because they're on town land.
Right. And one of the advantages of putting those granite monuments around, as I say, there are, I believe, over 40 of them, including the flush ones to the ground. We provided the DPW with a list of all of those. And I've noticed just that recently in the last couple of weeks, when I've checked out Irving Street, for example, it was
Yeah.
mowed. Dix Street, the one that goes right after Charles Street down to the beach there, that was cleared. So the DPW is maintaining these, and so, I think over time, with a granite monument there, the neighbors, as you say, sort of become accustomed to them. And actually, many of the neighbors start actually using those.
Yeah.
streets. Yes, Leslie?
Well, back to your point of earlier about what is our goal for our various projects. A goal for this project, to my mind, would be to get all the various town departments using the same map. Because as we've been trying to do this, well, the DPW has one. Oh,
Right.
planning department has one. Oh, the
Yeah.
fire department has one. And if we could get this honed to sufficient accuracy and then approved by the select board, and then it would go on the website and to these various departments, and we'd have everybody working from the same map.
Exactly. That
That could be our goal, including natural resources, who ostensibly is probably responsible for beach access.
exactly.
So
Right.
that could be the stated goal if the committee agrees.
Right. And that, I think from the very beginning, that characterizes why we took on this as a project. It was actually Steps Beach that really precipitated this, and that's what got us to where we are now as far as that. So, okay, anybody else have anything to add on to this discussion?
I think by the next meeting, although I say the next meeting, I looked at my calendar and I'm going to be in an airport flying down to see one of my kids in North Carolina. So I don't know whether I can be on the call or not, but if not the next meeting, the following meeting, I will have a set of these little maps that everybody on the committee can have with the access points and the streets noted. And then you guys can, start saying, hey, that's wrong, or this doesn't look right, or et cetera, because at least that's a starting point.
Right. Good point. And I think that the map that Lee has put together with our public way monuments, wherever we have a monument, could certainly serve as part of Leslie's suggestion to at least identify the beach access points that we've located.
At the end of the day, these things would all should be lining up.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
We should be so lucky.
Yeah. Okay, is there anything else to come before the committee this afternoon?
Just an FYI,
Yes, Bill.
while we've been solving the problems of unnamed and unknown roads, the town meeting that Libby was running along with the town clerk for the town meeting process
Yes.
was just hacked.
What? Oh, no.
And my wife was watching it. It was brutal. So,
Really?
yeah.
God.
So
Hacked by someone on Nantucket or hacked by someone in?
unknown, but there was a lot of combination of vulgarity, ethnic
Boy,
remarks and comments. And
it
I
happened
think,
to us.
pardon?
It happened to us once, but
Yeah.
this sounds a lot worse.
Well, I don't know how many people are on this, but it's anyway. They're trying to. They evicted the person, so somehow they got passed through the waiting room and everything.
Interesting.
Uh,
Well,
That wasn't our caller number 4, was it?
yeah, right.
No, we knew who that hacker was. That was Ed.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else to come before the committee? Any other commissioner comments or committee member comments? Seeing none, I declare we are
Thank you.
at the end of our agenda, and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
We
See
will.
you Thursday morning.
I know.
Enjoy the good weather, everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Alan, I'll let you know about the 15th of June.
Okay, great.
I'm going to be